Pro Playmakers, these are the skills that separate.
Welcome to the Pro Playmakers video blog number 8. For this week's entry, what we're going to talk about is how to use fakes and deception to manipulate the defenseman. So I'll give you an example just to start off. So basically what we're talking about is if you're on the half wall as a forward and you have the defenseman here, most players, if they get in this situation, they just go straight at the D, and the D backs up off the play to try to close the gap as the forward gets closer to the net. And what happens is that the defenseman is really in a position of control here when you're attacking straight at him or trying to go off in this situation. So instead of having this forward attack the defenseman directly, what we want to do is we want to manipulate the defenseman by using fakes and some level of deception. Try to pull him in one way or the other to give ourselves more of an angle to get to the net. So the way you do that is you try to get this defenseman to turn his skates. So instead of going straight at him, what you might do is you might go at him and then pull back towards the wall, which puts the defenseman in a position where he has to make a decision. He's either going to come up on you or he's going to continue to back up, and thus giving you a lot of space. Either way, that decision is a poor decision because he either gives you a lot of space or he does what you want, which is come at him. And this is what we try to do with our forwards, is try to tell them, look, you manipulate the defenseman and make his decision, the decision that he makes, poor regardless of whichever choice that he makes. So in this situation, what we're trying to do is use the fake of coming at him and then pulling back to get the defenseman to come to us. Once he comes to us, now we can fake one way, which would then get him to turn his skates. Once we get him to turn his skates, he now opens up a cutback. And once you have that, that's really what we're looking for. So you manipulate the spacing of the D by going at him, then pulling back, get him to come to you. Now you can get him, so now he's moving at you. A fake is much more effective than if he's moving backwards. Now another situation is off the rush. So we teach the dots. So we teach the dots both for forwards and for defensemen. So if you're a defenseman, we teach that it's important that you stay in line with the dots and allow the forwards to be on the outside and always protecting the middle. So as a forward, we also teach the dots, because what a common mistake for most forwards is when they're attacking a wide, they're truly wide. They're to the outside and they're crossing the blue line close to the wall. So they really don't have a lot of deceptive options because they have no room to move in that direction. So in order to be deceptive, you want to come down the dots. So now you got the defenseman who, now he sees you down the dots. If he's a good defenseman, he's going to shade himself more towards the middle so that he still continues to give you the outside. But when you're in the dots, you now have a lot more room that you've afforded yourself towards the outside. So now what you can do is that you can fake that you're going to the outside to pull the D over, which would give you a cutback. Or you could also fake towards the inside, which would pull him further towards the inside, and then give yourself a chance to go to the outside. When you cut back to the outside, you can see now how your angle towards the net would be much more effective. And that's just by coming down the dots. Because now you're fake to the inside, just pulling him to the inside by 5 feet creates a much better shooting angle, especially if this guy's on his strong side. The last one I'm going to talk to you about using deception to create space and manipulate the defenseman is when you're in a corner. So let's say you catch a cycle pass back towards the corner. Now this D is anticipating that you're going to come up the ice. Now what happens to this D is he now turns his skates and he's now facing this way. So what's important now is that as you're moving up the wall, you have to get him to turn his skates again because he's moving with you. If he's a good defenseman, he's got good spacing. He's put you in a situation where you're slightly ahead, so he gives himself a good defense options. So what you want to do is that you want to, again, fake towards the middle to pull him towards the middle. Once you pull him towards the middle, then you cut back. Now you don't want to turn your back here. you just want to slide back. So you go up towards the middle and then you pull back, always keeping your head over your shoulder here. And now again, you put this defenseman in a situation where he has to make choices. He's either got to come to you or he's going to stay back here and afford you the space. But either way, it's a poor decision that you've put that defenseman in. Always remember, when you're manipulating the defenseman, you're trying to put him in situations where he has to make choices. And by using fakes and getting him to turn his skates, you put him in situations where he really has to make choices. And that's really the name of the game when you're talking about being an effective player from below the dots.